Kia ora, good morning. It's Alo for Level. We have a very, very special piece for you guys today because joining me is 18-year-old Talimia Vale, who is a student at Mount Albert Grammar. Wait, not a student. Put some respect on his name. He's a deputy head boy at Mount Albert Grammar School. And the reason why he's with me today is because Tali tested positive for COVID-19. He went through the MIQ system. He came out, and now he has a story to tell. And I know a lot of people at home will be wanting to hear that story. So Tali, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Talo Falava, my name is Tali Mevale. I am, as you said, one of the deputy head boys at Mount Albert Grammar School. I am full Samoan. I come from the village of Iwi Savai, Samoa. As you said, I've recently had tested positive from COVID-19, having the Delta variant. And to be specific, I got it from the largest cluster New Zealand has ever seen, which is the Assembly of God cluster, that outbreak that happened in Mangere.
You know, the thing about COVID-19 that I've noticed personally is a lot of people, we're a year in, we're almost 2 years in, and a lot of people still aren't taking it seriously because they don't personally know anyone that tested positive. So how serious did you take COVID-19 before you tested positive?
That's a very good point that you make there, because, I didn't really take it serious.
Right.
I kind of just saw the virus as, just, a flu-like virus, that's pretty much on the side that, that will, never come to me or never come
Exactly.
my ainga. So, looking at the virus as a outsider perspective, I wasn't taking it very serious. But as soon as it hit my ainga, we were all in a rush to, figure out what are we going to do now. We weren't educated and things like that. So it was really important that we had to educate ourselves ASAP.
Right. And so what was it like? What, just one day you got a call saying that your church has been named as a location of interest? What was going through, what was happening during that time?
Well, we actually got communications from our church leaders, as well as our pastor, Tony Ebati, saying you need to stay home, you need to isolate for 14 days, get tested. And it was by then when I started feeling symptoms.
Right.
I didn't really think of it like that. So, I went to get tested. I've been tested 3 times before testing positive for COVID. I tested 3 times, and my first 2 tests were came back negative, even though I was having these symptoms while getting those tests back. So yeah.
What kind of symptoms were you feeling early on that made you think, you know what, something might not be right? This isn't just the flu.
Well, it started off with having body aches, just like having to wake up early in the morning because my body was really sore, starting to cough. So, these small things, I wasn't looking at it as I have COVID. I was looking at it as, it's probably, because it was at that time, it was also, the flu season,
Right.
cold. So I was thinking, maybe it's because of the season, something like that. But as soon as I started to lose my taste and my smell, that's when I started thinking, this. I think I might have COVID, because going onto their website, Ministry of Health website, looking at all the symptoms on their website, I matched those symptoms. So really, really frightening for me as well.
So you said that your first 2 tests came back negative. Are these the day 0 and day 3 tests?
Yes, this is the day 0 and day 3 tests. Yes.
And then which test did you take that came back positive?
On my third test, they actually called me and they said, "Hey, you've actually tested negative." So I said to I live with my 74-year-old mum. It's just me and her. So I said to her, let's go out, let's do some shopping, home shopping, because we haven't been out yet. And so we went out, because they obviously called me and they said that I
tested negative. Yeah.
I came back home and they called me and they said, "Oh, hey, we just, muddled up your test results. You've actually tested positive." So, having put my 74-year-old mum at risk, having put, a lot of customers, workers at risk.
You guys went shopping that day.
Really frightening. And because of a simple muddle up on their system, I just thought that wasn't good enough. So yeah.
And so what happens after you test positive? Like, how long after getting that call and you heading into MIQ?
Well, ideally the the process, you know, and I've talked to Pauline Sanders, you know, she looks after the MIQ facilities. The process is, you know, as soon as you test positive, you know, they got to get you out ASAP, or
Right,
they've
right,
got to find a way to get you out. So, unfortunately, I had to stay home for 4 days. You know, that's a lot of days to be for a positive case in a household with a 74-year-old mum
right, right,
sharing the same toilet, tulo, sharing the same, you know, bathroom, kitchen, you know, or home accessories, sharing everything, and having to be stuck at home with a 74-year-old mum who is still testing negative. You know, she had to do 6 tests, but you know,
wow, wow.
who was still testing negative. You know, I think she would have been negative to this day, if I hadn't stayed at home for 4 days.
Right, right. So what was going through your mind or your mother's mind during that 4-day wait? Because they tell you that they're gonna get you out ASAP, and then 1 day goes past, and then 2 days go past. You know, what's going through your mind during that time?
I must say that, you know, the communication side within the system was quite poor.
Mm,
You know, just calling them constantly and, you know, asking, hey, when am I going to be transferred, or, you know, things like that. It was, you know, they still didn't know.
right.
But then I also understood, you know, where they're coming from with the time that I tested positive, the numbers that we were getting 80 cases a day. And so, you know,
So this
trying
was right
to,
at the start of this current outbreak, yes? Right,
yes,
right, right.
it was like a week after the lockdown. So, you know, I did understand in some way, but you know, I just thought they just could have done better in
Mm.
some way. So yeah.
So, you know, they pick you up. It took them 4 days to pick you up. We get to MIQ. Talk us through about you know, settling into managed isolation. How was that for you?
When I first got there, there were a few red flags, and one thing I definitely saw was um, there was no water, and so, you know, I
Right.
had conversation. I said, you know, can I get some
And
water?
you,
And they
you, had,
said
you had to quarantine by yourself, eh?
yes, yes, for the
Right, right,
first
right.
3 days. First 3 days.
Okay.
So I called reception and I said, you know, can I please get some water? And she said, oh, you know, we'll put it on your card, we'll put it on your tab. You got to pay for the water. So, my first instinct was, you know, okay, so what if I don't want to pay for water? And they were like, oh, the bathroom sink is always there. So, you know, a lot of people did, who were in MIQ, did find other ways to, you know, well, try to find other ways to, um, you know, get this, you know, red flag out of the way
Right,
by
right.
going to social media and posting, you know, things like, you know, I'll look at what we have to drink out of. But as a family, as my family came together, and you know, our family became the solution. You know, we
Right,
reached out
right.
to
That's nice.
Gordon, head of director of health for Pacific Peoples. You know, we reached out to Silmanu from you know, who was looking after Jetpark, and you know, we reached out to different platforms to, you know, raise these concerns, raise the awareness of, you know, we don't have, you know, water, we don't have the right accessories. And so, you know, something that I also saw in MIQ was they weren't focused on Pacifica needs in some way.
Mm.
You know, looking at this pandemic, we see that, you know, Pacifica people are more likely to get the
Right,
virus
right,
than.
right. Because, you know, stats don't lie, the numbers don't lie. We have seen that the vast majority, you know, of these people that have been testing positive have been out Pacific community. So yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, so, you know, you would think that MIQ would really look at the priorities side of you and say, you know, okay, majority of this ethnicity that's coming through is Pacifica. We should, you know, we should really um, go by what they need and what they
Right, right.
usually have. So, you know, for an example, let's talk about the food. You know, we had nachos, butter chicken, and rice, and a naan bread. You know,
Hey,
I
that
mean,
doesn't sound too bad to me.
it doesn't exactly. It doesn't sound too bad to us,
Right.
but a 74-year-old mother, you know,
Mm,
and a
very
lot
true.
of elderly people, you know, they're not gonna. So my mum and my 79-year-old auntie who tested positive, you know, they didn't eat most of the night because the kind of food that they were getting served
Very true.
was not up to their standard. You know, coming from a place you call home where you
Right,
eat
right,
taro
right. Yeah.
and
The
meat and, you
palettes
know,
were just different. Yeah. Mm,
and then coming into MIQ for 2 weeks having to eat, salmon pasta as a young person, I'm all for that. I'd rather eat that over taro sometimes, and but it's just not what our elderly people or
Right.
what our
Yep.
Samoan
Very true.
people or Pacifica people need during their MIQ stay. So yeah.
What day of quarantine were you in when your mother tested positive and had to come in also?
Cool. So it was day 3 or day 4.
Okay.
But I think it was day 3. Day 3, and my mum was at home. She was South Seas had come over to organize a mobile testing
Right.
that my mum doesn't have to leave home. Um so she tested positive on my day 3, and then she got picked up the next day to come and quarantine with me. So yeah,
Also, she stayed with you.
she did stay with me.
That's really
Yes.
nice. And I think that cancels out my next question, because I was gonna ask, the type of support systems that you had while you were in quarantine. And I think you touched on it where you had a lot of your family, reaching out to you guys and reaching out to the people that could step in and make a difference for you guys. So yeah, it's really nice hearing about how especially for a Pacific community or a Pacific case, the people that come in when you need the most is your family, is your ainga. So that's very nice to hear. Um, wait, how long ago was this?
This was exactly um 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago that you left MIQ.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago that I left MIQ. Yes.
Okay, so leaving MIQ, what's the sort of process with that?
So I'm leaving MIQ. Me and my mom did our last test, and we got our test results on the same day that we left.
Oh, nice.
And we packed everything, but I guess like leaving MIQ, we didn't want to leave and miss out on something, because the officials who are making decisions for MIQ, they're not in MIQ. They're
Right, 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 right.
only trying to hear from what people are saying on how to improve their system better, because they're not experiencing it. So in other ways, our family came together, and our first 3 days of our first positive case in our ainga, we had to, some of our family members had to put in 300 hours within 3 days to help
Mm.
create a sort of diagram or a sort of graph to show what bubbles and what close contacts are. So because we didn't get any communications from the Ministry of Health or from the COVID tracing people around who are our close contacts, who are these people that haven't been tested, and we saw a lot of red bubbles in regards to still haven't been tested,
Right,
don't know if
right.
they are close contact or anything else. So it was important that our family did come together to fill in the gaps that the officials can't fill in, because they're not experiencing what MIQ looks like.
And so, how are you feeling now?
Finally have my taste and my smell back.
Oh,
Finally,
I think that's the best part about the recovery is just finally getting that sense of taste and smell back.
it's definitely that. So I can finally say that I can taste my Big Macs and McChickens and fries like that. So yeah, it's all grateful to God. So yeah.
Thinking back about your time in quarantine, because this case is very specific to you and your experience, but I think it also can be a reflection to how the COVID-19 response has been treating our Pacific community. So if you could look back at your time in quarantine or the whole process from you testing positive, what areas would you suggest that the government could, look at and make better for our Pacific community? Because, you know, with our country being as culturally diverse as it is, the ways in which we tackle COVID-19 should be diverse as well.
Mm. I think I think one of the downfall of the system was the communication side.
Right.
My mum, whose first language is Samoan, and can understand English, sometimes, but can't speak English very well. Um, you know, it's really important that the system looks at the communication side of you and starts educating our people the right way. Our family put together a video, a Samoan language video in regards to, what we're experiencing. And so most of the videos that we see from Ministry of Health, it's pretty much someone standing in front of the camera, reading a script for,
Right,
7 minutes straight. But a video that we put together, which was 2 minutes long, which I had voice over the doctor, and that character's Dr. V, and we had one of our other cousins voice over an elderly man who just wants to know more about Aing, and if they can come over, or I want to go out and do some shopping. So we were listening to the questions that our elderly family members had, and we put it all in the video. So we have a lot of questions we wanted to ask, but our video simply just has questions that would answer a whole broad of those other questions. So if I was to give my piece of advice to the system, start getting creative.
right.
Other ways, if we're looking at this pandemic, and and if it's not working, the educational side of you, if it's not working, start doing something else. Get creative, and don't try and improve it. Sometimes it's better to change it, and like I get creative with it. So yeah.
First, I just want to thank you because you're kind of doing my job for me. My next question, my next part of this interview, I was going to talk about that salmon video. And it's really, really great how, like you said, it's about being creative. It's about not solo changing the approach, but having a different approach to targeting different people. And with that video, it was all in the Samoan language. I'm going to have the link to that video somewhere in the description of this video. But like, what other stuff how involved are you with spreading COVID-19 awareness in our community?
Well, having made that video, we've had a lot of platforms reach out to us as a Ainga, and thanks to Mary Altangavaya. She has a lot of connections with people. So, making that video, it's reached more than 30,000 people. Been sharing it on different platforms with the Otara, Otara Health District community area. We've been sharing it with Coconut TV. It even made its way onto Newshub, a bulletin on Newshub. So, it was making this video. We didn't want to make it to make us look like, oh, hey, this is what we want to give to the public. We didn't want it to come like that. We wanted it to have an educational push to it. And from the comments and feedback from that video, it's been amazing. And so very grateful that we had a chance to make a video. And so our family are currently in the process of making more videos.
Cool.
Just hearing, feedback from the community, the Samoan community, to be specific. So some of our Ainga didn't realize that you had to do 3 tests.
Right.
And that's not the
Neither did I. I'm gonna be real, neither did I. I thought it was just the 2.
Exactly. So, that's not their fault. There should be more comms around, testing, how many tests you should do. And, there is, but it's just the platforms that they choose to share that kind of information is really crucial, So
Right.
if they're going to, just be posting on their platform, it's only going to reach their followers, their viewers.
Right.
But reach out to other platforms like Coconut TV, like Fresh, like New FM, like 531 PI, where our Pacifica people are listening to constantly every day, that can have a major impact. So,
right. So, and for those of you who are watching this video, it is currently Saturday, the 16th of October. It's Super Saturday. Where the government hopes that a lot of people will come through and get their jab. However, we still have a lot of our people, especially our people, our Pacifica people and our Maori people, who are very hesitant, to receive this jab. So what message do you have as someone who's gone through the whole process to those who are still hesitant to get this vaccine, or to those who are thinking, you know what, I'm going to wait this out and I'll just wait for the herd immunity, to cover me?
Well, like our our leaders have been saying, prior to coming into Super Saturday, don't wait, vaccinate. Right. But if you're sitting at home, not very hesitant, in getting the vaccine. Make sure you're sitting at home with the right information, not misinformation. It's important that our people who are very hesitant are getting their facts from the right resources. Most of our families who are very hesitant are very young, and they look at social media as their first point of source. And we have all these social media influencers that all of a sudden have a degree in medical.
Right. They're all of a sudden an expert now.
Exactly. Now that they think they do, they're trying to influence other people to not get vaccinated.
Right.
And so it's important that we look at this at misinformation and we don't listen to it. Or it's important that we don't even look at misinformation, but it's important that our people out there are getting educated, and that's my piece of advice, and that's what I'm trying to push for is the educational side. So it's important that we educate so that we can vaccinate.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today about your story. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention that we didn't cover throughout our time?
Well, to all you young people out there, if our elderly don't understand what's on the TV, what's on the news, and what's on the radio, they're going to be asking you, us young people. So it's important for us young people to educate ourselves. And so that's what I'm all for. Getting our young people there to get educated so that we can educate our elders, educate our non-English speakers, and just educate our community and our ainga.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Get as many shout outs as you can now. Gil.
Oh, cool. Shout out to, you put me on the spot there. Shout out to Dr. Reese, Dr. Ainga Autangavaya. Shout out to our Epati family. Shout out to my family. Shout out to all my teachers and all of our supporters out there who are supporting us through this pandemic, our Sneaky Joys. And shout out to everyone who are out there just supporting each other and supporting your ainga and the community. So,
and that was 18-year-old Tali Meavale. This is Energy Tanile from Radio New Zealand. Love you all.